They told him the sky was a ceiling, a final boundary for our kind. But he saw it as a veil waiting to be torn. The desert was silent that evening, holding its breath as if it knew the laws of physics were about to be broken. Inside the cockpit, the air smelled of ozone and ancient dust. He checked the dials, his movements precise and heavy with purpose. The instruments hummed a low, vibrating frequency that felt less like machinery and more like a collective, subterranean growl. Then the engines awoke, not with a roar of combustion, but with a pulsing, rhythmic throb that echoed in the marrow of his bones. The vessel surged forward, accelerating down the runway until the ground became a blurred memory of salt and stone. He pulled back on the yoke, and the world tilted. He was no longer flying. He was escaping the gravitational pull of sanity. The atmosphere should have thinned. The stars should have appeared. But the heavens had different plans for the bold and the blind. As he broke through the clouds, he found no vacuum of space. Instead, a realm of shifting, non-Euclidean geometries greeted his eyes. The cockpit window became a frame for the impossible. He saw shapes that shouldn't exist, moving with a grace that felt predatory. He watched his reflection in the glass. His eyes were wide, reflecting a cosmic landscape that was never meant for human comprehension. Static began to scream across his displays. The symbols were no longer numbers, but twisting runes that bled light into the cabin. The controls went dead. The vessel was no longer responding to his hand. It was being pulled by a gargantuan, unseen force. He looked toward the horizon, and the horizon looked back, a colossal. Unblinking eye like nebula occupied the entirety of the void. His insignificance was absolute. He was a speck of dust drifting into the maw of an ancient, sleeping god. Reality began to fray at the edges. The very metal of the ship started to ripple like liquid, losing its form and its purpose. He reached for the emergency lever, but his hand was no longer his own. It dissolved into a swirling, dark mist, merging with the shadows. The light was the last thing he heard. A silent, cosmic scream of blinding radiance that erased the stars and the self. Back on the desert floor, the wind was the only thing left to tell the story. The silence was heavier than the heat. A discarded flight log fluttered across the asphalt, its pages filled with calculations for a journey that had no return. High above, a faint, pulsing purple spark flickered for a brief second before vanishing forever into the absolute darkness of the night. He took off, and he never came back. Some things are not meant to be found. Some voids are meant to remain empty.